Are we good? All right, we welcome everybody to our February City Council meeting, which almost didn't get squeezed into February. And I apologize and take responsibility for that. That's part of the reason. It's good to see everybody out there. And if there's anybody joining us out, and I never know what to call this. What are we? We're not in TV land. What are we?
We're on YouTube.
We're what?
You're on YouTube.
YouTube land. Okay. Well, that's all right. It's good to have everybody here, and we'll have a word of prayer, and then we'll go forward. Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for another day of life. We're thankful for the opportunity that you've given us to gather here tonight with our friends and neighbors. We're thankful for the beautiful weather you've given us today and for people to enjoy that. We know there's more coming, and we thank you for that. We live in a country and in a place where we can enjoy this type of weather and enjoy this type of freedom. We thank you for our people that serve us. We thank you for our people that put their lives on the line for us. We're always appreciative of that. We're just thankful for everybody in this community for what they do and how they pull together. We ask now that you go with us and forgive us of our many sins. Amen. All right, we got a set of minutes from, seems like a long time ago, but actually about 5 weeks ago. Y'all ready on it? Anybody? Got questions, comments?
Make a motion to approve.
Good. Second. Got a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, minutes are adopted. Now we come to that portion of public business. If anybody has anything they'd like to address to us, feel free to step up to the mic and speak. And our IT guys have asked that you speak fairly loudly so it picks up well. Yes, ma'am. You're good.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Strand, and I am here on behalf of Billy and Becky Dungy. They couldn't be here this evening. Got the songwriter thing going on over at the event room, but I brought something along to read on their behalf.
Okay.
Okay, here it goes. My name is Billy Dungy. My wife Becky owns Watertown Flower Shop on the Square. I own Gold Star Building Care as well as 2 music publishing companies in Nashville. I appreciate and support small business. The leading commerce in Tennessee is agriculture and tourism. Watertown is host to thousands of tourists annually. The train alone brings 500 each time it comes in here. Why people are excited to visit Watertown? We have no amusement park or roller coasters. There's no go-kart tracks, bungee jumping, no Ripley's, believe it or not. There are no crowded beaches or Alvin's Island stores. No Calhoun's or Joe's Crab Shack, and definitely no loud bars with neon signs. So why come to Watertown? We don't have any of that stuff. Bingo, exactly. Watertown doesn't have any of that stuff. You see people come here to get away from all of that. Families don't come here so dad can get a new tattoo. They come here to relax in a simpler time. They walk around the square and stop at the coffee shop for a treat. Dad takes his son to the old-fashioned drugstore and buys him his first pocket knife, a classic Case pocket knife. Mom takes her daughter to Dainty Darlings to buy her a cute outfit, and then all head over to the depot for an old-fashioned meal, meat and greet, and to top it off with a big old slice of homemade pie. They go for a late afternoon stroll, drop into the flower shop, and buy a little gift for Mom. They get their picture taken relaxing on the bench or one of Dad in front of Barrett's. That night, when they get home or in bed, Dad smiles and says to his wife, "Today was a good day." On another note, Watertown is the backdrop of lots of music videos. Stars like Miranda Lambert, John Anderson, Darius Rucker, I can say that, and others have chosen
Hootie.
Watertown.
Some of the older ones remember him as Hootie. Yeah.
Have chosen Watertown as its prime location. The CMA Song of the Year, Wagon Wheel, was filmed entirely in Watertown. I have spoken to people who have come from as far as California and South Dakota to visit our town square. Being in the industry and professionally involved in 3 videos myself, I know 4 main aspects of choosing location of movies and videos. They are aesthetics, accessibility, low risk of backdrop failure or photobombing, and lighting. In Watertown, As the sun moves, it's easy to transfer shooting from one side of the square to another and still have a common backdrop. As I stated at the beginning, I'm pro-business with pro-growth and we have the highway and plenty of room to grow outward and still preserve the aesthetics and integrity of our beloved Watertown Square. Folks, we have something special and rare here. Let's keep it that way. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Tell me your name again.
My name is Beth Shostrand, and I'm a resident here of Watertown.
Okay, well, Beth, thank you. You're welcome here anytime.
Okay, thank you so much.
You don't even have to have a speech prepared. You can just come on. Well, thank you for that. And
You're
that's
welcome.
one thing that everybody around this table has worked for years, is to present a family-friendly place for people to come
Yeah,
and spend their money and go home.
yes,
And
absolutely.
we say that respectfully, but so thank you for those comments.
You're welcome. Thank you for the time.
Yep. Mr. Dowd,
Following that,
that's going to be a hard act to follow.
I know. Tim Dowd, I am now the president of Historic Square.
Okay.
Becky's stepping down, and she's turning all her jobs, all 6 of them, to different people. And so I'll be stepping in her place and following her shadow this year, and then next year I'll take over. But so if you have any questions about Historic, I'll be working down there and I'm trying to put my phone number in the flyer and stuff, so they'll contact me.
She has, I appreciate that and congratulations. She has left me a bill of sale for their Historic Watertown's interest in the turntable.
Yes.
And I'll take a look at that. I think Lisa got it yesterday and I looked at it briefly this morning. I will look at it next
All right,
week.
thank you.
Don't think there'll be any problems there, but I'll look at it. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, IT guys, we got anybody wanting to ask any questions? It's always a good sign. Okay, we'll move on then to, I think first one in the queue tonight is the sewer report, is Dale, so.
Right.
Oh, he took his hat off.
Do what?
I said, oh, he took his hat off.
We didn't get,
You're short-handed.
yeah, I'm short-handed today. She's at grandma's house.
Oh.
I did get one price for a replacement blower. They informed me that the old blower was too worn out to be repaired and no longer parts available. I did have them come back out again today and they did some more measurements to get a price on the installation price, not just the blower, so we'll get a total price package on that. And I've also been in contact with Todd and Ritter that we approved to do the pump station repair work, and they're gonna get us a price quote also. So, hopefully that'll help get a total price rather than just a higher price.
You've got one of these down now,
We have one blower down,
And
and
another
they
one.
actually took it with them to the shop in Crossville and took it apart. And,
so do we have an estimate of how much it will cost and how much? Steve asked some questions this afternoon by email, good questions.
What they're getting, that's what they came out today. I thought that, they gave me a price just for the blower, which was $10,900. And I'm getting to get the price for the total installation price, not just the piece of equipment price.
I guess my main question was, did they determine if physically the new blower will fit
Yeah,
in the
they'll have to
location?
change some piping. The flanges were
Yeah.
different sizes on one. One had like a 7-inch
Right.
flange and the other one was 6-inch, but it shouldn't be any trouble. They just have to change some piping.
Okay, because
They will make-
I know their estimate indicated it was unknown if the new,
Yeah, that's what I had them come out, and they came out this morning and did some measuring and stuff, and so they'll make sure that'll work.
But you need it,
I do need it, yes.
but we don't know how much it's gonna cost.
Right, yeah, so.
but right now we know parts, we don't know installation.
Right, we don't
costs.
know installation, we know what the parts for, and like I said, I did contact them.
So a little over 10 for,
Yeah,
right
a
at-
little
right
over
at
10,000 just for the piece of equipment, not for the installation.
So when he gets the installation, because we do need this, is this something that can wait till the March meeting, or do we need to call an emergency meeting once we get the installation?
Well, like I said, we have, they put the blowers in redundancy. If one goes down, you have a spare. Well, right now we're on the spare, so,
Yeah.
it's a,
Yeah,
what's your best guess on what it would cost us to install it?
I really hate to guess. I don't know. Labor charges are expensive these days, and I wouldn't think it'd be a whole lot. It shouldn't be a really big job, but
Yeah. It is a really big job.
It shouldn't be a real big job, they just have to unbolt some pipe and change some piping, but it's not.
But they come down from Livingston, Crossville?
Yeah,
Okay.
Livingston, yeah.
Can I make a motion that we approve up to $22,000 expense on this, 10,000 or 11,000 on the part, and then double that for labor? Hopefully it won't cost that much, but they'll have the funding ready when the installation's ready to take place.
That's exactly what I was thinking, to prevent having a special call meeting.
You can make that motion and you can second it if you'd like. Now, one of the questions I was gonna ask is, do we need to go ahead and get two?
I would recommend going ahead and do it, because if the other one goes down, then we're.
I agree.
That was gonna be my
that's a high risk.
recommendation, that we buy 2 pumps. And maybe we.
Two blowers, you mean?
Well, 2 blowers, and maybe we allow installation up to another 11 grand for the, basically 33 instead of 22.
It shouldn't
I
cost
don't
that.
know.
But it shouldn't cost that much. I'm thinking maybe-
To install it, I don't know that we need to buy 2 right now. We are looking at doing a plant rehab once our collection system rehab is done. That I talked to our engineer, Steve Jones, yesterday about this, and he's recommending go ahead and get the blower now. And if we need to do something else with the blower system, we can increase the motor or something like that, but, I wouldn't go ahead and buy 2 right now, that, when we're gonna do a plant rehab, and we may be changing some things.
Okay. What's the warranty on it, Dave?
I believe it was a 3-year warranty,
Okay.
if I'm correct, or I can verify that.
Okay. So the motion that Larry has made is for $22,000, and that is to buy one blower and to install it. And then we'll take a look at the other in the future.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that's quote that correctly?
I
Is that your
second that. Mhm.
All right, further discussion on that? Anybody? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Okay,
What else you got?
that's all I got for you right
That's
now.
enough tonight.
That's enough.
Seems like there was something else we were looking at a little while back that you said we'd have to look at in the near future. Am I demanding?
We have to do a plant rehab in the future
Oh, I
after
know,
we get the
yeah.
collection system done, but,
Yeah.
there's something else I need to keep in my mind at the moment.
Nothing emergency right
Nothing,
now.
we don't have anything else other than,
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Anybody questions of Dave? Anybody?
On that, do we have a timeline which we think, when we think we'll get to the plant rehab? Because I know we gotta do the collection system, which is the right of ways or easements we've purchased.
We've struck deals on both those.
Right.
We're done. We're not done, they gotta sign them. The plant rehab was not a part of our order. So they let us know that would be the next step after we got this done, they'd be looking for us to do it. But we're not under a timeline, as I recall.
well, what was in the order, originally when we contested permit limits that we weren't able to meet.
Yeah,
And what they did was they held off the permit limits until we did a collection system rehab. But what's gonna happen is at the end of this order, those limits will go into place. And without doing some kind of work at the sewer plant, we won't be able to meet them. And
Well-
I think our phosphorus levels and things are gonna go to like 1 milligram per liter in our effluent, which we currently aren't doing. And unless we do something, then we won't be meeting them.
but what we agreed to in that room down there that day was, because they were pushing hard for a plant rehab, because they always push hard on the little communities. For some reason, you don't ever see them going after Stones River or Nashville or anybody. But when we got this work done, they were gonna give us a year to see how it affected what we were doing. What you're saying is, even with a year, we're not gonna meet
At the
it.
end of the order, whenever this order is completed, there's gonna be limits, that are more stringent than what we have currently, that they left it relaxed until this order was through. That we have, nutrient limits that'll be put in place at the end of this order.
You know, this argument won't carry any weight, but I'm gonna make it anyway. That's kinda like changing the rules of the football game at halftime. That bothers me. And I will argue it when the time comes. I'll lose, but I'll argue. Okay. Steve, I may have taken away what you.
No, that was, I just know the other blower, we all know is a ticking time bomb. It's gonna fail at some point. And
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just curious
pretty
if it will
much
last
old
until we
equipment,
can.
Yeah.
But if we get this one, at least we can still run on the
Yeah.
one. If this other one goes down, we can address that as an
And this
emergency.
is just the blower, it's not the electric motor with the blower, it's just the blower
Just the
unit
blower.
itself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both of these are 1962 issue. They came with the plant.
This one came with the plant. I was looking at the other one. The other one, if I'm not mistaken, we bought a used one from Wascon maybe 17 or 18 years ago. That it wasn't a new one at that time. So we have this one that's original and then a used one purchased, over 15 years ago.
They'll have to be somebody with a better memory than me. Okay.
Those,
Obviously, you have.
those blowers, they don't run they run only one at a time.
One at a time.
So that blower, one of them doesn't have as many hours anyways, just because it was,
Well, we cycle them on and
cycle
off.
them.
Yeah.
so
one
they
of them-
swap
Yeah.
during the year or something.
Yeah. I turn one off and turn the other
Yeah.
one on. Yeah.
So they're even with each other.
Yeah,
theoretically.
pretty close.
Yeah.
They don't have run hour timers on them, but they're pretty close. But yes, this one was installed in the 60s, so it's got some hours on
I
it.
seen the design of it, I looked it
Yeah.
up, yeah, it's very old school.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Dave.
Mhm.
I guess you'll let me know when you need to check.
Okay, yeah, I'll get with them whenever. if
Don't
you-
don't slow them down. If they need to check tomorrow, we'll. If they
I'll-
won't
I'll
come
get
down
with
tomorrow,
you
we'll do
and
it.
get some
Yeah.
prices on this stuff.
Okay. All right. Next up is police chief. Speak loudly and clearly.
Yes. I have-
Not answering to us, you're answering to the IT staff over there.
At least you spelled it all right. So, any questions on the report? That's that report that's sent out is the new system report per se. It did change from the Excel, but that is straight out of the system itself. It generates it every time you put something in, it generates a stat for that.
Okay.
If you need more detail or something, you can always email me, let me know, but that's pretty detailed.
All right. You got something else to talk about, or you ready to go with what we?
I'm ready for you, because you'll probably want me to leave after that.
Well, no, I don't know about that, but we're talking about some money here.
Yeah.
You talked last time about wanting to buy some beanbag shotguns.
That is accurate,
Are we ready to do that?
if you all are.
Well, I'm never ready to spend money, but we gotta do some things. Tell us again how that works and what the benefit of. As I recall, you said that was better for us to have those than the stun guns, the taser.
So, when I have mentioned the tasers, that's when you had spoken, said some liability and some lawsuits, and there's a lot of them, and just about everything we do, but it seems to be
It's a wonderful world we live in for
Yes.
lawyers.
So, us, me being proactive, wanting some less lethal force, that we have to have more options on our, more
Yeah.
tools for it. So, I thought the beanbag gun would be a good alternative for that, because we already carry chemical spray, pepper spray. And, they have pepper ball guns and this, that, and the other, but a lot of times, you get things that look so similar, and, when you get your adrenaline up, you just grab whatever. A lot of times, and, I thought that maybe we had a shotgun with the beanbag rounds, which are less lethal, and it's pretty big and it's orange. That would be an alternative to having hands-on, pass, pepper spray, and lethal force. We put one more less lethal force and use the continuum in there. I think that would be amazing.
And I'm assuming there's training for every officer. for
Absolutely,
that.
yeah, absolutely, we would have to. And also that falls in line too with the use of force policy that we adopted from the state of Tennessee
Okay.
that they put out, and so that would be a good idea. It's pretty detailed, but that's one of the things that are already in there and already has the policies for such, and the state did that so we could be in compliance with any grants or anything we get.
Okay.
Plus, that keeps the person away from you farther than Mace does also.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't,
that's 100% accurate, and wind doesn't affect it as much, and, it's easy to, if you are involved in a physical altercation, to spray yourself,
right.
and then it's really bad.
It's hard to shoot yourself with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, I hope.
I was gonna say, if we approve these, can we approve the great big holsters y'all can wear?
like the guys do on the western
Yes.
crossing. Wear a sash.
Well, in 2023, I prefer a rack in the car, and my AR-15 as well, so.
As I recall, you wanted 5 of them?
Yes, well, I think 4 more with a total of 5. I have 1 currently.
4, and how much was it a piece? Was it $800?
Yes.
If it's less than that, tell me.
Well, I think it was $789.
Okay, that's $800. Okay, if you, I maybe have a different take on it. I think you need them, but I don't want to get into a position if we can help it where y'all have to kill somebody. There's too many of that's on TV now. And if we can bring somebody down, shooting them with a beanbag, I'm much more, you know, we'll fight the lawsuit on that, but, you know, if you have to kill somebody, we become the bad guys. And, we pretty much know most of our people around here, we're not gonna have to use the beanbag zone, but we may have an interloper every now and then come through. So I'm prepared to recommend that if y'all want.
It was $650.
$650, it's going down all the time.
With 650 plus
I was gonna say, as I recall, to get
the
the,
orange hold kit that makes it distinguished from a traditional shotgun versus this. So
By
that
saying,
is accurate.
right, if we say not to exceed 3,200, we good with that?
Yes.
Will I get it, as y'all recall?
that's what I was recalling, that there was, the addition was for the orange package to make sure no one confuses it with a real shotgun.
Okay.
And
All right, is there a motion to purchase 4 of these at a cost not to exceed $3,200?
I'll make that motion.
They're
I'll
all around the
second
table.
that.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Now let's go to the
Not
big
to exceed what, 3,200?
3,200. Now, the police cars, as you were texting with me today, they're gonna be ready about the middle of March.
That is correct. She said, you know, I got clarification for you and I responded as such on
You did. I got it.
production and delivery. So she said production 13th, probably 2 days.
Yeah, I believe that when I see it.
Well, I
That's
know.
the reason I said the end of March.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or, you know, or maybe even April, or, you know, but,
Well,
you know,
when
they
they-
are slated for that. And I think even the sheriff's department's got several in, and I noticed there was probably about 8 or 9 sitting on their lot.
Okay.
So they are starting to come in.
So we were looking, as I recall, round figures, $39,700.
39,783.19, I believe.
39,810. Decision we have to make, 2 decisions tonight. How many do we want to buy? And then I'll talk about funding, how we're going to handle that. So we started off talking about 1, then we moved up to 2, and we got to 3. So what's the will of the council on how many we purchase?
What are we sitting at now?
Well, I was gonna say, there's 3 out of service sitting right behind this building.
So-
All that extra.
As much as I hate to say it, 3 are out of service. For the last week and a half, we've only had 1 car that was running. The escapes were in the shop. Then we had to put Bills in the shop, or the gray one in the shop. And they currently need tires now, but tires are expensive as well. But there's those 3 back here are completely out of service, 100%.
Okay, we'll get to that here in a few minutes then too.
Can we steal tires off the out of service?
I've already done that, sir. I did that for the gray one. I took all the tires off of Unit 30, put them all on Bill's car because they were all on the back. So I did that.
All right, so the choice now is 1, 2, or 3. I think it's time that we leave this community. I'm not saying leave, we're not going anywhere, but put this community in better shape than driving a car that they don't know whether it's gonna start or not. So I have no problem recommending 3.
I said, I'll make a motion to buy 3 not to exceed $120,000. Does that issue an outlay, a note?
Yeah, if you'll hold on, that'll be the next motion. I'll probably need a little bit more, I'll tell you more about it. Right now, if you just motion to 3, if that's all right.
Yep.
Is there a second?
I second.
We got a second from Kyle. Discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, I had this under new business, but let's go ahead and get it. We'll have to do it by capital outlay note. I have talked to Wilson Bank and Trust here, and they have agreed to a 5-year capital outlay note at 5.5%, which they tell me is 2.5% below prime for 5 years, and they will do the legal work and the legwork. There'll be some expense with that. So Chief and I talked today, and I think your motion, Larry, would probably be better if we went to 130 to cover some of the incidentals. We don't have to use it, we don't have to, but that'll cover some of the things you may have to add to it. There will be some expense, the attorney, not any attorney here, but for the lending company, that will have to be paid. So what I will recommend, well, where was I headed with this? If you move to do that this way tonight, I have to write a letter to the comptroller's office, ask for permission to issue that capital outlay note. I think we'll get that, the 5-year, what will happen the first year's annual payment. It's not like a normal car payment. You don't make a monthly payment. You make an annual payment. So you'll pay 1/5 of the principal and interest on all of it the first year. Next year will be 1/5 of the principal plus 80% on the interest. So it goes down. But that's a pretty good rate. It's higher than the last one we got. But if you'll recall, the prime rate was about 0%. And so we were getting it for like 2% or something.
It's fixing to go up again.
Yeah. And I mentioned that to Zach, and I think they'll honor it. Now, I have to tell you, if we put this out to open bid, if these are considered non-tax issues, there are people that will probably buy them for less than 5.5% because it's not taxable. But it takes some time to do that, probably some more expense, and I like the idea of keeping our money here at home. So I have no problem recommending to you that we seek permission from the comptroller's office to do a 5-year capital outlay note through Wilson Bank and Trust at 5.5%.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed 130,000. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's important.
Or if it does, we'll discuss it again.
Yeah. If it does, it'll be on incidentals for it. It won't be the cars. We can put the cars in play, I think. And really, I don't think it'll take 130. Now, one thing I do want to check about, and you and I haven't talked about this. I'm sorry. I want to make sure what kind of warranty we've got on this.
Yeah, it's in the quote that was sent. It's
Okay.
3 years, 36,000 miles, 60,000 miles on the powertrain, because what happens is they change all that stuff out, bigger rotors, all that stuff. So it's 3 years, 36,000 miles with 60,000 mile powertrain.
Where I'm headed with that is I want to make sure that when we have issues, and we will, that we take it back to the dealer under the warranty. Because when we bought those 2 new Escapes, we started taking them to local guys here to fix them when they were still under warranty, and we paid some money we shouldn't have.
Right.
And I should have caught that, but by that time the work's already been done. So it needs to go back to the dealer as long as it's under warranty.
I have asked Ms. Danielle that if they would do oil changes frequently, like 36,000 miles or 3 years.
Yeah.
If we would bring them back to them and service them, which that's where they're under warranty. And she's supposed to get back with me on that
Okay.
as well.
All
And they
right.
are 4x4s as well, which was the reason I wanted that was for better resale, in the long run.
I want to say one other thing for the benefit of the crowd and all of us here. I'm fine with buying these new vehicles, but we're not buying them to race. Okay? I don't expect them to blow up a car for a $125 ticket. Get the license plate and we can do that later. But we've had chases that have gone from here to shop, not recently, not fussing at you. But we've had chases over the years that have gone from here to Shop Springs. We've had them go from here to Alexandria, and we had a chase with the sheriff's department, and I was in a deposition representing the sheriff's department, and they were talking about the car that followed it all the way to Murfreesboro, and said there were a line of police cars following them. And I said, well, how many do we have? Talking about the county, and they said, well, the second one going there was Watertown. It got in and gone all the way to Murfreesboro. Now, why are we in the chase to Murfreesboro? There's no good answer. And I'm not looking for one. There's no good answer. So what I'm looking for is good police work as y'all are doing, but, you know, when we're
Well,
over here playing ball this summer, I don't want to see them racing up and down through the day.
Well, I've already, I've put many policies and some things in place to cleanliness, because that's one thing I can't stand. And, for me to get out there and clean them during the day, I don't drive them, but I still get out there and clean them. It's unacceptable.
Now, also, the new vehicles, does that include like the spotlight and all of the equipment, or is there additional charge for that?
So I think what we discussed at first and we talked about is anything, 98% of what we would need would be stuff we could take off our other cars. Radios, this, that, and the other. They come with wig wags, some tail light stuff, and we will put some more lights on them. But some of the stuff we do have, but the lighting that we would need would not be like $10,000 or $5,000 to do something. It might just be something that makes sure, by law, you have to be 360 degrees, and we don't have upper light bars. So it's 360, so you have to have some on the sides. But now they come with lights. So I just don't, I've not seen one lit up per se, other than on TV, and that might be something that added stuff to it.
Okay, so after we take possession of the vehicles, you come back with a list of potential required lighting or what have you, or is that just something that would come out of an operating budget?
My goal was to kind of preserve enough to where I didn't have to come back. Because, we have budgets of different things as
Sure.
well. And if it's things that we can use, like the Escapes have some new lights on them, I say within 2 years, year and a half, that would be conducive to put on these vehicles as well.
Okay.
Not just be swapping over this, that, and the other.
Okay.
And we would have to get Axon, the LPRs in the cars, video cameras, in-car cameras, they come out and install them themselves. We've already paid for that. We're already paying for that, that monthly thing. The only reason they're not installed now is because I didn't want to put them in the stuff we're getting rid of. It's just a very complex system. And they all have video cameras in the back and the side. But that's a system we've already paid for. So they install it, and that's it. The goal was everything that I took off these cars was to be able to put on some of the other cars, the new ones if needed, because the lights and stuff they have on these are not bad. It was just everything else.
Okay.
Larry, that's the reason I suggested 130. He can get his incidentals without having to come back.
That's what I was-
Once he gets his car, he can put them on the road,
Okay.
if that's all right with everybody. Do we have a motion? Did somebody
We
make
haven't formally made the motion yet. We
Okay.
discussed it, but not made.
Are we ready to?
You made the recommendation.
I did, and I'm good with 130,000, 5 years, 5.5%.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Further discussion? We discussed it pretty well. Good question. All right.
The one other thing, I just wanted to look at timing. So with the motion that we've made and the approvals, other than contacting the comptroller, will we be able to take possession when they land? Or is there something else that needs to be accounted for?
That's my goal, and I think the only way we would hold up possession would be, number one, the dealer, or number two, the comptroller saying, hey, I want you to put this out to bid or whatever.
Okay.
They've not done me that way in the past. They've gone. Now, if they come in at 12% interest, they're gonna tell me, no,
Sure.
I can't do that. I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
The dealership expressed to me today as well, because I asked that, not about it, the comptroller, but they said they would give us 30 days to submit payment once it's delivered. So, I know we still have to get it approved, but I'm just telling you, we'll have.
Once
30
we,
days on there.
I'm sorry to have spoken over you. Once we, get approval from the comptroller's office, I'll contact the bank. They'll do the paperwork. I'll have to go in April, and I'll have to go in and sign some things. By the way, today's April's 33rd anniversary with the city. She was hired when she was at 9. She wasn't much older than that, believe me. I'll tell you a story in a minute. So did I get a motion in a second?
Yes.
You have motions, haven't voted.
All right, y'all understood the motion in a second? Everybody
Yes.
good? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, anybody opposed? It's a big step for Watertown, big step. We bought 2 before, but never 3. But that's just the same
Also,
with towns.
on this, I want us to get rid of all these junk cars.
Yeah, but
We've
Freddie
got
said
3
that.
new ones and 1 working, I know, or will have.
Yeah, so
And I think we need to get rid of the junk out here and do something with it. Instead of saying, well, we'll use it sometime and leave it sitting out there. We
These
don't
cars
need
could-
it.
These cars could never be used again, so they
Yeah.
could never be. The only thing we have left is the Explorer and the gray one, and then that's when you have to make a decision what you want to do about the gray one. It does not need to be on patrol every day.
We'll get to that one.
If we can't sell them anything, call you and let him come haul them off.
No, we can't do that. We declare it surplus.
I
and
know
take
we
bids on
can't,
it.
but that's my feelings on it. I want to get rid of them.
Well, I do too. We'll,
I do have a sealed bid on Impala, and somebody come out yesterday and gave me one for.
but we hadn't advertised it, have we?
No, we have not. That's why you told me to hold on to it and not get it.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
right.
telling you, people are aware, and, I mean, of
Yeah.
course, I don't know what.
We're gonna talk about some surplus items here in a minute. and-
Okay. Gotcha.
And include those in there. Back to my story on April. April's mama brought her in my law office one day and said she needs a job. And I said literally to her, I said, well, when she gets old enough, bring her back. And she said, well, she's 18. She looked 12.
She look 18 now.
Yeah. You remember that, don't you?
I do remember that.
Yeah. I thought, what kind of job I got for a 12-year-old? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I pick at her a little bit. We talked about, and I don't know that I got any further with it, but you sent me some stuff on, and Larry brought it up last time about golf carts.
Yes.
Are we prepared to do anything on that tonight? I'm not, but if you are.
I'm not, because when I reached out to Brentwood, and I didn't get an answer back, and to be honest, I didn't keep calling, so I
Okay.
really do have a lot, which everybody has a lot, but I hadn't thought about it. We discussed it on, off and on, and when you start reading the TCAs, a lot of it's interpretation, but it's laid out pretty much what you can and can't do.
Mhm.
So but if we continue to allow it, we probably need to have something that says, hey, on these conditions, that meet these terms, probably need to be consistent with some of the TDOT stuff.
We probably need to address that in March since we got a yard sale coming up and there's some golf carts in use.
And I've
Well,
got,
there's probably gonna be some, there's some at our yard sale, at the music jazz festival.
Yeah, all summer.
Right, so it is something probably that needs to be discussed,
Okay.
before the turn events happen.
I've got a nice thick stack of papers I neglected to bring tonight that actually has another city's codes associated. So, and I was gonna find time on your calendar to go over that and see if it's something that we could essentially reuse and rebrand.
Oh, absolutely.
So that may or may not make it easy. It's a nice ream of paper, so, but yeah, if we could just postpone that, that'd be great.
We'll go for March on that. The other thing we talked about was the vicious dog situation.
Yes, sir.
You wanted to do away with the pit bull ordinance that's in
Yeah,
existence
and include.
and add something to the vicious dog.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because, it'd be so hard for us to tell a dog that's got 2 or 3 different breeds, or a half pit and half English bulldog, and,
Yeah.
I mean, if the city would be out all this money to try to prove what it was at a vet through a DNA test, and can they prove it? So I just thought that, that may be some language that needs to be done because of what's happened recently. And we probably need to have something in place that would protect us.
We'll bring that back in March too. That does need to be done. And what you're doing is you're judging the situation not on what kind of breed the dog is or how many breeds are in him or her, but how vicious the dog is.
That's accurate.
Okay.
What does it currently say?
No pit
No pit
bulls, no
bulls.
pit bull breed, no pit bull mixes, no.
But
So-
we've never enforced it. I've got a neighbor that's had a pit bull for 2 years and nowhere to say anything.
Well, we need to add chihuahuas to the list.
No, this is a real pit bull.
I think that back before me, it was addressed that there was never a reading on it per se, or maybe there was never a second reading. But when Joe was here, he said, nah, we got that done. But I've looked at it because there are some issues and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think what happened on it is we passed it on first reading, and this was in the mid to late 90s, I believe. You're talking to a guy, I can't remember what he had for lunch, but I believe it was mid to late 90s. And then we let it slide for several months because the pit bull owners packed this place. And then finally, 6, 7, 8 months later, we adopted on second reading. but with how we never have enforced. I think we enforced it one time. We had a situation up on Cornwell, and we enforced it, and I think the people moved because of it. But we'll take a look at that vicious dog and bring it back and try to get it out to you in advance so you can look at it. And if Larry wants to add chihuahuas in there, we can. Anything else?
Yeah, the other ordinance, we wanted to change the language that says mufflers car to have windshields put in, cracked windshields or visibility. So that was the only, and I sent that to you with the correct language.
You did, and I thought that was relating to golf carts. I really did, so I'm sorry, I'm not ready on that one either, but we'll get
Okay.
it. You and I'll get that together.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, is that not a Tennessee state law?
Not for windshields per se. When they start talking about obstructions, when you read the TCAs, it says things that cause obstructions like people, and it's pretty specific what it is. But it doesn't say cracks. You know, we had a few vehicles here that, they were really bad.
Majority of my experience is outside of Tennessee, is the reason I was asking. And
Well, a lot of folks have vehicle inspections, and they also have that, Tennessee,
okay,
I don't have to have my vehicle inspected per se,
yeah, okay.
All right, anything else?
but that's it for me.
You got some money out of us tonight, about 135,000.
I know it's gonna benefit all of us, so
Oh, it would.
make the community strong, build that relationship.
Well, and it also provides a good picture
Yes.
of what we're doing.
I have
All right.
something that I was gonna bring up last month in new business, but y'all had left, is we are really good at codes in the summertime. And I've had a few complaints about, are we not doing codes anymore? There's this house here with this, and there's this house down here. And so I just, as much as complaints that happened during the summer, I think our community saw how beneficial it was too.
Yes.
So I just said, well, with the weather and the cold and the rain, they're getting there. They're on our report. It's just not as frequent as it is in summer. So
So here's what happened. Officer Willis had been preparing and went to the academy, and he came back. And during that period, we didn't do that much unless somebody sent us an email or something. But now what I will tell you is several of them are being looked into, but due to the integrity of my case against those folks, like some people complain about some things, and some things I can't just rush in. Because it's a lot
Absolutely.
different element.
absolutely.
And I know some of them because I hear it too,
Right.
because everybody, they text me, oh man, that's great. But yes, but we're through some of the audit. I got audited again by the TBI, which is not unusual. And what happened was, the stuff that we put in Tibers was time marked the day we put it in, and their system reads it as 2022 instead of 2021. So then I had to go back, take every copy, and make a copy of every single what we did in 2021. Long story short, I've submitted it, and she said she'd get back with me soon. But we are not doing codes.
Right.
And that will pick up very soon. But there are several things probably that you've been made aware of that.
They complain when we did them, they complain when we don't, so But I did say I would bring it
Yeah.
before everyone.
100%.
Is there a way to get the codes put on, can someone get the codes put out somewhere so everyone can read them? Because that's, a bunch of people have asked about
Well,
that.
I've got
The actual-
all the codes on digital, but I don't know that my code book was the one that was signed back in whatever. I just don't
Tom
know.
Shooter's office, the county codes director, he does that for us, and he should have it. Whether he's got it on his website or not, I don't know, but check.
So I got a bunch of people, when all that was going on, I
Yeah.
had 9 or 10 people before I was here asked if I knew what any of the codes were, because there was no way they could find them.
His assistant's name is Georgia, so talk to her. Tell her you brought it up tonight. I think she'll be able to help you. If not, let me know. We'll
I can
work out
always send
something.
you what I have.
Yeah, we need to make sure that what you have and what he has
That's
match
right.
up, because
That
we
was-
take somebody into court,
Yes.
and then we got two different sets, we'll have a problem. So we
Because
need-
right now it's not posted per se where everyone can directly view it, which makes everyone have the thought that it doesn't really matter because
You know, some people I've heard say they didn't even know we had codes.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Well, it was on the MTS side, but, you know, they took all that stuff down because they're restructuring and redoing all that.
Yeah. We need to get with Tom, because he's got the official.
Yes, sir.
He does that for us. So we contract with his office for very economically, $10,000 a year. He does a lot of work for us for less than $1,000 a month. So take your choose. Answered.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you, Chief.
Yep, thanks.
Another chief coming up behind you. Come on up, Blake. Hello, how about it, buddy?
In January, we had responded to 51 calls, 21 of those were in the city, 38 were in the county, which gives us about 1.9 calls per day, so almost about 2 calls a day. Just real briefly, also want to just recognize some of our members on an incident that we responded to. It's a very small incident and not something you would find in the news, and that's a good thing because usually if something makes it to the news, somebody's bad day has turned into a worse day. But we got called for a reported fire this past Sunday here in town. It was in the city, and it was in a laundry room, and so we had from the dispatch time to gearing up and responding in the apparatus to getting on scene, stretching hoses, going to the pump panel, sending water in, taking the line inside to getting water on the fire was 5 minutes. And that is a great time, what I think. When I came into this service, we were told that fire grows exponentially every minute. So it doesn't just double, it grows really quickly. And some of the scientists came out and said now in modern construction with a lot of the materials that it can even grow 9 times quicker than that. So we're always in a race against time, and we try to teach that that is not made up in driving erratically, but it's by doing things well, and as you do things well in practice and training, then time comes with that. And so I just want to give some accolades to them. They did an excellent job, and felt that needed recognition, just as a lot of things that they do, but that just kind of stuck out to me. So.
That's great.
Always glad to hear that, Mike. And you remind, I don't want to get off subject with you, but Chief Hinterlight told me this afternoon that Bob and Eric Morgan were very influential in helping in a case today, and he called them out for praise, and I should have mentioned it while he was here. So Bob, you and Eric, thanks. And now back to you, Chief.
That's all I've got. Y'all have any questions?
So we responded to more calls in the county than we did in the city. Has any further discussions taken place on the county reimbursing us or assisting with equipment requirements or anything like that?
No further discussions have taken place. Now, I can only say this the way I know to say it, okay? This building over here cost over $1 million. The county paid for half of that. They let us borrow our half from them, and we are paying it back over 40 years. This building is only costing us $31,900 a year. So I don't mind talking to them about getting more stuff, but I don't want to shake that tree too much, because I had to really, I won't say fight, but it's almost a word with the comptroller and said, you can't do anything for 40 years. And the county did it, and we agreed to it, and I just don't want to open that back up again. Now, that's not to say we have to, but y'all need to know that when it seems like sometimes I'm a little hesitant to do that, that's why. I mean, we've got $1 million building for $31,000 a year.
And then the other question I had is, with all the expansion in the new buildings, like the apartments, I guess, or the townhomes or whatever it's being built, do you feel you're adequately prepared for the influx of the additional buildings and the potential growth that we are prepared to accommodate with the new annexation and the growth boundaries?
As it is now, it should be. If it continues to grow, then that's something that we definitely need to analyze and take a further look at.
Okay, because I was wondering, our growth boundary
question.
our growth boundary has gotten much bigger and
Well, it hadn't been approved yet. It's still in the process, but theoretically.
and people start adding, that's gonna increase response time, and if you're out on that end, and we get something going on this end, and you get a call from the county, I mean, how does that land? And so that's why I wanna make sure we're prepared before we're in that situation.
Are we fully staffed now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, I don't know that you and I have ever talked about it. I remember talking about it to John and maybe Bill Jewell years ago, but our obligation is to the city.
Absolutely.
And if we get a call and we're out in the county and there's something going on in the city, it's up to the county to get out there. We come back home. And I've always had the same understanding with the police department. If we get a call that somebody's getting their house broken into, that they're subject to being hurt, we respond to it because we can get there first. But when the county gets there, we come home because it's a county call. But
And we have changed, and I've had discussions with Chief Hobbs at WEMA in the past and changed some of our responses to make a little more sense for us. For instance, Statesville and Norring for years didn't have a station out there, and historically Watertown had covered that. Well, as they began putting stations out there, it just wasn't feasible for us to go to a lot of those places where we're passing one of their stations to get in between two of their stations instead of them going. And so I talked to him, I guess, a year ago, and discussed a lot of that, and kind of restructuring a little bit of the zone to where it made more sense, even with the apparatus that we send. If they are in a position now to where they're sending more apparatus, then we can hold back, keep more in the city, and things that just make a little more sense, and continue to keep a good relationship with them, and take care of the home for us.
you're working with Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Let me go back to something Larry said. It's a very good point, and that is the county actually bought us a fire truck years ago, and I'm talking about several years, Larry. But that may be the way to go to see if we can get another truck. And that might be easier to do than getting them to kick in so much money a year.
That sounds fair.
Yeah. So
I think that's
don't
what
know.
I brought up before, why can't the county furnish a truck?
Well, and they might be able to do that. They've just spent a lot of money on a lot of trucks. So-
On that deal, I went to Lebanon one day this week, they had a wreck in Shop Springs. Our fire truck, our emergency vehicle, our ambulance were all in Shop Springs. Theoretically, that's halfway between Watertown and Lebanon. Now, why couldn't Lebanon be called instead of Watertown? That's a question I'm asking.
Right, as far as I understand, they don't have the automatic mutual aid agreement that they have with us, the county does. The city of Lebanon does not have that.
Well, the county should have been the one to come to Shop Springs, not Lebanon.
Right, and I'm not familiar with that particular incident. It could have been an issue or a time where they responded also, and so.
It was our ambulance, our fire truck, our emergency vehicle. I was all in Shop Springs. I think an ambulance finally came out of Lebanon and picked up one of the victims, but we were there first and we were the ones to call. And that's why I can't understand why it's our responsibility for the county when we don't have more equipment and more people than the county does.
Yes.
The way I've understood it, it's not necessarily our responsibility. It is act of courtesy who can get there the fastest.
Yes.
But once they get there, because it's their jurisdiction, then they kind of take command.
That's correct.
Because that's what happened when there was a wreck right here in the city limits. I mean, there was a county cop, I think, even got there first, and then our police got there, and the county cop turned it over to our police because it was within our jurisdiction.
The
So,
other day, it was, the firing station in Lebanon is right there on
right, but they could have been somewhere else. That's
But
like,
like I say, it would depend upon where that station's equipment was.
That's a city of Lebanon fire station.
On Maddox Simpson, it's in the city of Lebanon, but
It's a
there-
county.
it is the county station
Okay.
there on
Yeah.
Maddox Simpson.
But
It's
if
not-
they were somewhere else, I mean, it's
Right.
just,
And
a courtesy.
that happens frequently, even with these being staffed in Norian and Statesville. If it's staffed with 2 people and they're busy in Lebanon that day and somebody has a medical emergency, they may have a fire truck and an ambulance, but there's 2 people at their station. So any call that they get puts that station out of service. And so, I can't necessarily predict when and where those will happen, but there are a lot of times where we would get called out just because they're shorthanded at the moment due to a high influx of calls.
Yeah, if
See,
I'm in
it just seems like to me that the county's putting more of a burden on us. And I mean, I don't think we were equipped for it. I know what police used to, they would call our police when we had one, all the way to the church on the other side of Greenwood down at Lebanon. When all they had to do come out of Lebanon, the county, and they'd be within 3 miles. And yet, we was driving 8 or 10 miles, our police was, and of course, they don't do it now, it's been stopped. But I think it's something we could need to think about.
One of the mistakes the county made many years ago, you know where the city of Lebanon's police station is now, right there at the fairgrounds. Middle Tennessee Electric was there before, and they put that building up for sale and all that acreage. And the county made a deal to purchase it for $400,000. And then a couple of influential commissioners, both of whom were my friends and both of whom are now in the grave, probably kicking because I'm saying this, but they killed it. But that would have been a great spot for an ambulance, fire truck and everything, because that one doesn't have to fight coming across town or the railroad tracks or anything else, not at least in Lebanon. Could have come straight down Highway 70, but the county thought that was too expensive. And sure wish we made a different decision. Look what the city of Lebanon's done with the police department. Beautiful building and great location. So,
And just another story, Mayor, you probably have much more insight than I do, but Watertown being the second oldest fire department in the county, we provided fire coverage out in the county historically just because at the time there wasn't any. And so that's kind of been a long tradition to where when available to help, we had help before there was even anything there or when it was a civil defense and before it was what it is now. And so having that relationship there is not something that's necessarily just new or that has happened quickly. It's been a very long relationship with the city.
I don't think it goes unnoticed when we do ask for a truck or when we do
Right.
ask
no,
for some
and
help.
plus we
They
have
know,
some
they know that
friends
we
in
help
positions
out.
there.
Yes, Chief
The,
Hobbs will call me frequently and ask, if there's anything that he can do or anything that, if there's any issues that he needs to take care of. And so we have a good working relationship there. And he's always been good to help in any capacity that he can.
Good.
So,
And one thing you may want to remember, everybody around the table and the folks out there and anybody that's listening, is take a little pride in the fact that a lot of people in this county think that we handle things as well, if not better, fire department wise, than WEMA. Now, that's not going to make some of my buddies there happy, but the fact that they rely upon us and have for years, this department's very well trained, and I'm proud of that. Now, I agree with you, we ought to have some more financial or equipment input, but the fact that they call us means something.
it does.
It's
Something
kind
to be
of a point of pride, yeah. Anything else you need from us?
No,
You don't
sir.
need money tonight, I hope.
Not tonight.
We're about out tonight. Anybody, questions? All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, we talked about golf cart usage. You should have a copy of the audit there in front of you. You can look at that, and if you have any questions, let us know. It's a good audit. It has the usual findings that we don't have enough people, enough segregation of duties and all of that, and they understand that. We do the same thing every year. Larry, I saw something in the minutes and my memory won't help me, but you talked about water department surplus. Was there some items that we were gonna do?
Yeah, I was specifically talking about the old, at that time, the old tractor that we had, the backhoe.
Okay,
And then I also see that there is like old playground equipment or something over behind that building.
yeah,
And so that and the police cars, just any surplus that we can add the funding back into our general fund would be helpful.
well, let's take care of that now. We got 3 police cars back here that we need to declare surplus if we haven't already. If we do it twice, it won't hurt anything. We've got the old backhoe. We've got the city truck, is that right? ladies?
There's a
City
white
truck?
pickup truck over there with
Yeah. Yeah. The playground equipment I had forgotten about. City of Alexandria wanted that. And we agreed to give it to them and they never came and got it. So we can declare that surplus. And I'm sure there are other things, but let's go ahead and get those rolling. And we'll need to declare them surplus and then we need to decide how we want to sell them.
So is it the city truck that's a white truck or is it a dump truck?
The white truck.
It's the one
Yeah.
sitting down on the
The
creek.
dump truck.
And a dump truck? Okay.
The dump truck that Bob drives in the Christmas parade? Oh, I thought, okay. Not that one, we gotta have that one.
Bobby walking to the Christmas parade.
You're right.
Max is gonna be upset if we sell that. Okay, so is there a motion to declare those surplus?
I make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, now how do you want to sell them? Do you want to sell them on Gov Deals? Do you want us to run an advertisement in the paper that says we'll take sealed bids for so many days and then open them at a future council meeting? How do you want to have? I don't know the best,
Well,
to get the best money.
I know Chief Enderlight has indicated in the past that with Gov Deals, because you're not getting a whole lot for this anyway, by the time you pay their fees and all the overhead, you're basically giving it away. So I don't know that Gov Deals is
Okay?
the best way to go. I wouldn't be opposed if we could get all the equipment in one spot,
Now, not.
advertise an auction one Saturday.
Yeah, we could Facebook advertise even.
Yeah,
That's pretty
well-
hard.
We used to do that, and our friend who's now deceased, Richard Macon, used to do it when he'd have an auction up here. He'd put ours in the personal property and sell it. And of course, Richard's gone now, and I don't know if there's anybody else that will do that for us. I doubt they'll do it on their own, just put it out there, because they don't make any money on that either. But we can do it that way if you prefer.
We could auction it here, couldn't we?
Yeah, but I mean, we gotta have an auctioneer.
Gotta have an auctioneer.
Yeah, I don't wanna do it.
Can we ask Mr., it starts with the B, it's Sandy Vaught's dad. He used to auction. Bennett, yes ma'am.
Harry?
He used to Bennett.
Yeah, I haven't
I
seen
mean, he
Harry
used
in
to
a while.
auction.
Is he okay? I shouldn't ask that in public.
I haven't heard anything, let's put it that way.
Okay. I need to remember I'm not in my office or at home. Yeah, however y'all want to do it, we'll find
Well,
somebody.
can we've declared it surplus.
We've done that.
Can we take it as an action item for next month to see if we can identify an auctioneer or someone who would work with us?
Yeah, let me see if I can find somebody, or if y'all find somebody. let me know. I'm
Yeah.
not, but if it's somebody local and wants to do it, I'm fine with that. If not, we'll get somebody out, maybe out of Lebanon.
Could probably talk to Derek, maybe he can help us get some of the stuff moved all to here.
Yeah.
Maybe we can borrow a Bobcat.
We used to put it out at the vacant lot on the upper side of the sewer plant.
That would be a good
Yeah.
place, yeah, it's grassland.
But at times it looked like it's pretty ratty looking, but.
It does
Well,
have town so.
I'm just saying, wherever we put it at, we need to, my thought back here is you got adequate parking and people aren't parking on the side of the road or creating
Yeah,
any kind
I
of
think it's a
traffic
good place
hazard.
to do it.
And, because you got space here between here and the park to handle people who want to come in.
I think that's a good place to do it. All right, you want to bring that back next time then? Okay. All right. Okay, I sent y'all out today, and I hope you read all 298 pages this afternoon, on the hazard mitigation plan that the county's put together. And that was a joke about reading it. It has to go through approval from the 3 municipalities, Wilson County, the Wilson County School System, and the Lebanon Special School District. My understanding is Lebanon, Mount Jude have already approved it. County is going to Monday night. We can vote on it in March if you'd like time to read it and whatever. Probably ought to be familiar with it. But I sent it out to you today. I didn't take the time to copy it because our copy machine at 1,800 pages is probably going to be in a strain. And I need to get one out to the police and to the fire. So if we could do that next time, if that's all right. And
I do like Steve's comment when he asked, is there something we do need to focus on? Like, is there an area that you're like, hey, y'all really kind of need to know this?
I haven't read it, so I need some time to read it too.
Okay. Will you just shoot us an email that's like,
Well, if I
focus
figure
on
out,
this, you
yeah,
know?
but you know, you never know what'll happen in a small town. We had a situation here 25 years ago. They found an old World War II, what do you call it, monument or whatever, and they cleared out this whole side of town, said it might blow up, and then they sent people down to Watertown First Church. Then they said, we're gonna clear the whole town. I said, no, guys, you can't do that. We can't scare people
Old
to death.
munitions.
Old munitions,
That's
you know.
from the training days, I'm sure, when they crossed through
World War
Lebanon,
II.
back going across.
Yeah. But it didn't fire, but it got everybody excited. It was a Thursday afternoon, I remember it. And I thought, man, I'm gonna catch
In the
them.
late sixties, they did a GI training out through Lebanon this way too. Could have been some of that mess.
Could have been. It was,
That was all the nerd stuff though.
it's late 90s or early 2000 when this happened. All right, that'll be an action item next month. The only other thing I have tonight is the budget report. I hope y'all have that. We're looking good. We should be looking good this time of year. Taxes are coming in, sales taxes are holding up. So, this will be the best time of the year for us financially, because once you get to March, property taxes slow down, sales taxes don't, hopefully, but expenses continue, so you basically have a float through the next 6 months. So nothing that I saw remarkable to a point to report to you there. Our next meeting will be March 21st. That's the third Tuesday. And we'll go around the table, and Larry, I think I started with you last time, so I gotta go back to
I
Hal.
can't remember. Go ahead.
I went back and checked the minutes. Hal?
I've got a couple of things. One is this baking machine, stove on the square. I think, and I would like to see us, the city board, form some kind of a board to work with people, the buildings and the companies that are coming in to work out. We're growing a little bit now, and we're getting some strange stuff in. So we need to have somebody control it. Don't you think?
Is that not
Well-
part of the plan? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is that not part of the planning, or do they just?
Well, it is in our codes, but you gotta understand now, if it's a legal operation, we can't just jump up and stop it.
Is there a way that, I know we approve the business, if they have a business license and they're in a legit business, like, there's not really, like you said, we can't stop it. Is it legal for us to approve a name? Cause,
No, but I'll tell you what they applied for their business license is Watertown Smoke Shop.
and that's what they say they're gonna call it.
Yeah, and this rumor got out it was gonna be Watertown High.
Well, when you make a sign that says Watertown High, that makes you assume that's what you're gonna call it.
Did you see that sign?
Well, I know that they requested to have a sign made that said Watertown High, but that could be going in their store. That may not be the name of their business.
I've been trying to track that down.
That
the
very well
rumors.
could be
I've tracked it
in-
down, and
The business, you know, up on their wall. But no, never once did I see it as part of their name.
Is there anything against what they can put in the windows, at least? For what's
For the
on
historic
display?
part,
I think from the historic, it's like more
Again, that's-
lighting and
Well, I mean, like,
signage.
they've had,
the historic may be a way to deal with. The lady, as I understood it, told our ladies that she was gonna be here tonight to answer any questions we had.
I heard a bunch of
So-
people were gonna be here tonight. but no
You
one-
heard she
I
wasn't?
heard a bunch of people were gonna be here tonight, but no one
Yeah.
has come, so. I'm just curious they already have a bunch of bombs and things lined up in the window. I didn't know what you could or couldn't have.
Bunch of what?
Bombs.
Marijuana.
Bombs, okay.
Like, what you could or couldn't display in.
I'm from a different generation.
Yeah.
Bob asked me, did you want to bring up about those files he needed, because he's fixing to leave?
Yeah, I just saw that. I'll bring it up in a minute.
You
When
didn't him to ask me the question or anything?
tell him to hang around a minute.
Do we
Yeah.
need to skip to that real quick?
Can we go
Well,
ahead?
let's talk about this, because it has been an issue. Codes again is where, in the historic part of it, I think Caleb hit the nail on the head. If it doesn't meet into the historic plan, not the historic.
I didn't see anything wrong.
Mr. Dowd's, but the preservation.
Yeah, I checked over what basic law we have, there's nothing against what
Yeah,
we're doing as far as like.
I don't think, it's
checked
kind of
it
like
too.
with the CBD and all that, it's kind of like we have stuff in place for alcohol, but
Yeah.
it's just kind of a loophole, and obviously,
yeah.
nobody probably even thought at Watertown there was gonna be bombs in the window, so there's not anything written down for that.
And that may be the way we have to fix it. You're not saying it's illegal, you're saying you can't do it within so many feet of the library or church. And that's probably the way we're gonna have to fix it.
Right, but
But this one may get in on
there's
that.
nothing in the current alcohol code that addresses CBD or anything like that, because it didn't exist back when that code was written.
That's true.
And I'm not an attorney, but I have some insight. But if they've already applied for a business license and it's not in the code now, anything we were to enact now, they would be grandfathered. So I don't think there's anything we can do to actually stop them at this point. But Caleb may be onto something in terms of the historic preservation, can limit what can be displayed publicly, so at least someone has to go inside the store to be exposed.
I don't know of anything we can do either, Steve, and I agree with the grandfather part of it. We need to fix it for the future. What I'm hoping is if they do actually open, that the marketplace will take care of it.
I think the marketplace is gonna weigh
Yeah.
in with them heavily, because if I were a business owner, if they were considering something like that, to me, the square is not the best location to be. Where you want to be is out on the highway somewhere,
Yeah, like this smoke shop up
like
here,
the smoke
nobody
shop
cares.
down here by the
Yeah.
liquor store is,
Yeah.
or, yeah.
But I understand over there, because we've tried to protect that as a family-friendly place, so.
Which I think goes back to what she read, that the Dungies, they bring in a whole lot of business
I'm not,
for our historical
Yeah.
look aspect of the
That's why I
square.
say I would like to see some kind of a board set up. I know it'll be grandfathered in now. I mean, it's there, and we're probably not gonna do anything about it. But yeah, if we had a board or had like a beer board or a liquor
well, we can
board,
set it up where the beer board would have the,
I
Yeah, we
I
can
would like
say-
to see something like that
Yeah, we can do
happen,
that.
and, not to just run people out of Watertown, but at least,
well,
let them come to the meeting and talk to us about it.
I'll ask her to be here next month. I'll ask her to be here. She had said she was gonna be here. Now, us changing the meeting date a couple of nights may be the reason she's not. And I say she, I wouldn't know her if she walked in here. But, these are all good questions. I don't want anybody to think I'm against what you're saying there. I just know that we gotta do it legally, because if we go in and try to stop a business, and we don't have the legal authority, we're gonna get sued. It's gonna cost us some money. But we'll check into it.
And so if we do decide to have more oversight, I think we could amend the guidelines of the beer board to include that, because that falls in that similar category.
I think that's the way you gotta approach it, Steve.
Yeah, not create a whole new board, no need for that, just expand the realm of the beer board that's already in
Beer
place.
board do it.
An ATF board.
Let me, Hal, you got another, let me go back to something else I forgot. And all this came about this afternoon, since about 4 o'clock, Bob called me. We were working on a water leak in our line up on Priest Avenue.
Yes.
We have no cutoffs up there. So I asked him, we're gonna have to make some pretty major work to it. And I asked him about, can we cut, give notice out and say we're gonna have the water cut off this end of town 2 hours. We don't have cutoffs. So they're gonna have to change this out and install it under pressure. So, yeah, that's it. So Bob has gotten us an estimate, it's gonna cost some money, but, $6,173 to put that valve in.
Just one, I need two,
Oh, Lord.
because the line wraps around. It won't kill it unless you put two in.
Okay. Okay. And you told me today we need this because of the expansion going on up there too. We're gonna have
Yeah,
to.
with the construction going on, we gotta fix the leak tomorrow.
Okay.
With the construction going on, they gotta tie into that line, no way to cut it off, then we'll be in the same shape again.
Okay, so I recommend this to you on an emergency basis that we spend $12,346. Looks like if my Watertown math's correct.
Is this anything to do with the new construction?
No.
Okay.
$12,346.
I got a word for it, but I'm not gonna use it in here.
Please don't.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Please don't, but it's been
Sounds like a bad
configured and
design.
reconfigured and rubber banded and all kinds of stuff, so.
It's been
I-
rigged.
I recommend that to you. We probably don't need to discuss it any further. I'll recommend that to you.
I make a motion to approve not exceeding $13,000.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I second.
Discussion, guys, ladies. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thanks for hanging around. Bob.
Volunteers tomorrow, if y'all wanna get this deep in water.
No thanks.
What time?
Volunteers. to come.
What time?
I'm busy.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay. They got a conflict.
Water.
I'll check on you tomorrow.
Go ahead and start without me. All right, Hal, I'm back to you.
All right, I've got something that we brought up last meeting, the sign out front.
Yep.
I would like to bring that back up, and I'd like to make a motion that we buy the sign and have it installed. And I would like to have a roll call for members vote.
Well, I have spoken to, there's a Boy Scout willing to do some help with that too. So they kind of wanted to know more, and I said, well, let's see what happens tonight. Because I was going to bring that up too. I think we do need a sign after driving by. Got a nice sign at the park. We don't have a way to say, so we do need a sign. So I don't know what,
I would vote that we put a smaller, less expensive sign. Something on from the building sign.
We can put something up that won't last any length of time and look rat trashy, but we want a sign up that the city can be proud of. That's my recommendation.
I just recommend that we could spend $35,000 on sewers to continue the
We
city.
brought that up last meeting, and that dog don't hunt as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's not just one decision. I would vote that we put a sign up on the building, but I think it just needs to be a sign, kind of like what we already have signs everywhere else in Watertown, just so they know that this is City Hall. Our front corner of our building is lit on one side. Steve measured it for us. I think we can have a flat sign or just a channel box sign, letters to the front of the building, and that would be much more cost
We can go out
beneficial.
there and paint, just a paintbrush and put a sign up on it out there. and
I
it'd be real
realize
cheap.
that you don't agree, and that's just why that's a democracy in this world.
the sign that's at the park, that's a nice sign. The sign that's down there at the antique, that says antique this way, that's a nice sign. I would like to see a nice sign like
It's
that.
just a flat, two-sided sign.
Right.
Yes. So I'm okay with that.
I would like to see something that is nice and draws attention, not necessarily stuck to the building. That can be a little generic looking sometimes. Do we need a flashy, $30,000? Maybe not, but I would like to see a very
I'm not against
nice,
a sign at all.
a very nice wooden type sign.
I just seen that the signs on the fronts of the buildings kind of match a lot of the other signs in Watertown of its historic. This building has got a very retro 60s vibe
Right.
anyway, so those white channel letter signs have that
Yeah.
that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So it would match the building if we had something like that. I'm not against the rear board sign, just maybe after we don't have a bunch of other things that
Right,
are
right.
problematic.
On that note, it's over there on the square. I mean, it still says Watertown City Hall.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know we brought it up before, maybe putting like historic on there just so people don't think. Because there are new people coming in and they're going, oh, City Hall, and then they go over there and it's like a storage facility. So I think too, in this, we maybe should talk about maybe doing something like that. Because I know you said last time I brought that up that, you know, you don't want to see it go. I get it. It's been there my whole life and longer. And so maybe just putting something like that, or I don't know, any other ideas.
Well, if you're gonna put a sign in front of one, you need to distinguish between the two.
Right.
So-
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like something just a-
Well, I hadn't, I'm sorry, I talked over somebody.
No, you're fine, go ahead.
I hadn't anticipated this coming up tonight, but that's okay. I will tell you that I am in support of a sign that stands out, that looks good. I don't want to halfway do it. And so anything less than what's been proposed, I won't support. Now, all you gotta have is 4 votes to get it done, but I won't support that. I think it's time for us to be professional. And, you know, we just voted tonight to buy 3 police cars for the first time ever. 10 years ago, you couldn't have convinced me we needed 3 police cars. We do now. Very good point tonight about needing more for the fire department and trying to get it from the county. But, I'm with Hal on this one. That's gonna be where my vote is if it comes to a vote tonight. But there's no motion on the floor right now.
I made the motion that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, is there a second to that motion? Is there a second to that motion?
That's to approve that $30,000.
35,000.
I wasn't here last month. Like, what? I know they came before us before last month, but what kind of spawned all this exactly? Like, I know you are saying we need a sign, but
Well,
Where-
this
where
building
did I-
does not have a sign.
Yeah,
So people will come to the water plant here, people go over to the other one, they'll call, where are y'all located? They need something to recognize
Sign
this
the building.
building as City Hall. And they need something that says that's the front door, because I'll have people even come over here, say, well, I'm here. They'll call me at school. I'm here, where did you tell me to go? And I'm like, you have to go around, you know, like they need something to distinguish this is City Hall. And more in the front to that's the front door.
What did this
So
say,
that's what
community
has,
center?
excuse me?
Is this a community center, is what it says, this side? Yeah.
Currently, there are 2 signs on this building, one over here pointing at this door, and one on the back side of here pointing at the back door that say Watertown Community Center with an arrow. But there's nothing on the front of the building to indicate that that's where the city hall is at.
Yeah, so we do need to mark this
Out
building.
front yard or wherever you put it. I mean, there's nothing out
So-
front.
I guess to his point, the sign that the $35,000 one, it's the scrolling like First Baptist has, correct?
Exactly. It's very
So-
similar to First Baptist.
I guess why are we against just having a sign that says City Hall that's nice? I mean, I just don't understand the,
I would like one that looks just like the ballpark, since they're right here beside each other. Because I think the ballpark's a nice sign, I would like to see something like that right there. We need a big sign. I want something that says, and I would like for it to say Mayor, and I know he doesn't like to toot that horn, but I would like to say Mayor Mike Jennings of 44 years. I know you don't, but that's part of our town.
What I want to do is to be able to advertise their city council meeting such and such a night, and then like tonight, we had to put it off, we can change that on there. We can put something on there saying, you know, drama club at school's putting on a play. I know they've got a sign down there, but a lot of people don't get to that end of town. Or, I guess they do, I don't know, I hadn't done a poll. But I do think that it's time for us to do something nice, and whatever we do is gonna be here for a while. So, that's my thinking, but the motion that Hal made died for lack of a second. Is there another motion?
I make a motion that we engage the Eagle Scouts and some of the high school seniors and determine what their capacity is. Because theoretically, if they were to build a base and put like bricks in there, class of whatever, then the cost of the sign would simply be
Exactly.
the center part, which should reduce the cost, the overall cost. I don't think anybody disagrees with the need for a sign. I think the challenge is spending $35,000 when we're looking at sewage bills and we've got all these other things happening. Roads, and that we're gonna have to make up the difference. So the sign isn't necessarily the challenge. I think the challenge is the cost.
Okay, you
So-
make a motion
I make a motion that we investigate opportunities to reduce the cost of the
with
sign.
the Boy Scouts.
Or the high school seniors, yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
can we open it to bids to see if there's anything cheaper than 35,000?
Well, we can.
Because I like that idea of advertising, because we don't put it even out on Facebook, we don't put it out on social media, we do need something like
Let
that.
me, one of the reasons I went to these people, okay, is that they do a lot for Watertown. They participate in our parades, they sponsor ball teams here, and they spend money here. And like I said earlier this evening, I like to spend my money locally if I can. Now, if we can find somebody to do some of this work, I'm fine with that, but I want it to look professional. That's the bottom line. It needs to look professional.
And that's General Sign Services?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
they do a lot for this community.
They are
So,
definitely an
yeah.
asset to this community.
I guess I didn't realize who it was from.
Well, I'm not against using them for any sign, I just, you know.
Okay, Larry's made a motion that we investigate Boy Scouts, high school seniors, or anybody else that might, all right? Is there a second to that?
I can second that.
And we're not saying build a sign, we're saying find out and bring it back next month, is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah, because if they can, theoretically, the sign company, they're gonna have to pay or do like brickwork. Well, that's gonna add to the cost of the sign. Well, if we can get the brickwork done for less, then that should theoretically reduce the cost of the sign.
Okay,
And that would keep it in the city of, city helping it.
all right, we got a motion and a second. Before we go any further, I'm not gonna speak against that, let me say to you, the professionalism. When we upgraded this ballpark at the end, whatever it is, it's either number one or number two, but the one furthest away from us, we could have run a screen all the way to the ground. But instead, we got a gentleman in Lebanon who does that block work to lay that block for us. And it looks very professional there. Now, we don't have a lot of teams other than ours playing over here now, but at that time, the high school was playing here and the junior high was playing here. But it looks very professional, and it was done 15, 18 years ago, and it still looks professional. That's what I want to see. So I'm not married to a sign company or to anybody in particular, but I do want to see. Let me say it this way, and I'll say it as nice as I know how. I don't want somebody to come in here that's never built a sign in their life that says, I can build you a sign.
Yeah,
Right.
You're gonna get what you pay for.
that's what we're gonna get.
So, I'm probably not gonna be very popular out in the community tonight, but that's all right.
No, but I think if we explore our options, it would make.
Oh, I think that makes sense. I don't.
And then I think that we could come back next month with all of our options on the table and make a much more educated decision.
Okay. Motion and, who seconded it? Cal did? All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No,
Okay. I vote aye just to find out the cost. I can tell you where I'm gonna be when the vote comes back. Unless somebody does some real hard job on it with me and shows me how 16, 17-year-old kids can build a better sign than a professional sign company.
yeah. We're gonna have.
There's a difference between building a dugout, laying a flat piece of concrete over
Right,
here.
spend a little money.
Yeah, but anyway, we ought to explore it, I agree with that, so. All right, what else you got?
That's
We
all
still
right.
with you? All right, Steve?
I have one quick question, it's probably for April. Months ago, we had agreed to, there's a service out of UT that puts our codes and things online. Where, have we gotten a status back on where we are with
I
that?
checked on it when you asked about it, and I sent the email with the answer, and that's the last I've heard. And I'll check on it again.
Okay, if you can follow up, I'd appreciate that.
Who's that? It's not, is that TML or is that
Impasse.
Impasse?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Steve?
No, that was it.
All right, Ms. Laura?
Yes. I wanted to announce that Watertown High School is having career fair on March the 28th from 11:15 to 1:15, if anyone's businesses is interested. I'm also going to send it to the chamber after talking with the Dowds. They had gave me who to contact, and Chief Hom also wanted on that, so.
Okay.
And that's just for our students. It'll be for our juniors and seniors that will attend this. So it's not open to adults to attend, but we're asking for other businesses that want to. So if you're interested in getting on that mailing list, if you'll just get in contact with me, I'll make sure you get the info on how to sign up. Every high school in the county is putting it on. That's just the date for ours.
Okay, good.
And the other one is there any way we can legally get tax money or food truck? When food trucks come in here, we don't benefit from it.
Your seatmate to the left of you has asked about that before, and he did some exploring, and I was looking at it, but we hadn't gone any further. We do have, and I'm surprised that some of our permanent merchants have not complained about that because they're operating at a competitive disadvantage.
Yeah.
So that's something that ought to be looked at.
And it's nice to have those new, pop in. I enjoy when we have
Yeah.
something fresh and new that day, and I'll go participate. But I also would like to see our city benefit in some way.
Well, and we have the same thing happen when we have the jazz festival and
Right,
Mile Long
right.
Yard Sale. They sit up and they pay the people that are putting the event on, but we don't get any money out of it. And that probably ought to be looked at. And that, honestly, that's a fight I've never been ready to take on, but it may be time. So we can look at that, Laura. Lord, you're turning pages. You got
I
more?
always keep my notes. No, sir, I'm done. I keep my notes right there
Oh, okay.
for me.
I was joking a little bit, but you turned that, and I thought, wow. Kyle?
No, I do not have anything.
All right. Caleb?
I'm good.
Larry?
In the vein of more information, would it be possible to get a general idea of what it would take? And I'm not asking like for an expense or anything, but a general idea of what it would take to bring our water system up to snuff. Because we have not only the growth and the situation you're talking about now, because they're gonna have to tap into a high pressure line, but we have antiquated water system for the people for the houses that are already here. And so we have no idea, to my knowledge, and somebody might know, how much the repairs at some point that need to be done, how much that's gonna run us.
I don't have a figure for you on that. I'll give you a little bit of information. These guys, our certified operators that do this job for us, have given us a list of things that y'all have approved. Some of them, they're putting them in now, and some of the things we're still waiting on. But we also have a request through Steve Jones, somebody mentioned him tonight, our engineer, for a $699,000 appropriation that we have to pay 25% of, so it'd be almost $900,000. Now, what specifically that does, excuse me, I can't tell you, but I can get you more information on that.
'Cause I know a lot
Is
of
it, I don't
pipes-
think it'll do the whole system, Larry. It'll cost a lot.
Well, pipes specifically was one of my concerns, because I know some of these pipes been out here since before you was born.
They're old. They're old.
So that's just to get some potential for pre-planning in the future if we ever run into something. And then the other thing I wanted to ask about was, we had briefly discussed retirement opportunities during the retention plan. And I'd like to have, you okayed that I go speak with different people to find out what was out there.
Right.
And Wilson Bank and Trust uses Raymond James.
Somebody, did you send somebody to me to meet with?
Not that I'm aware of.
Somebody contacted me and wanted to meet with me. I hadn't been able to yet, but it was on retirement.
Well, I've been speaking with a gentleman, and I don't have his name on me, with Raymond James.
Okay.
And I'd like to have him come to the next meeting just to be able to answer questions. No commitments, no expenditure up front, just to be able to give us a better idea of what we're looking at if we decide to enact something like that.
Okay.
Because they have different options. You've got 401ks, you've got 403bs, you've got all these IRAs, Roth Mutual. And so I think for the city to have a good idea of what type of benefit package to potentially offer, we need to have a better understanding
I'm
of
fine with that.
all of those things. So I'd like to invite him to the next meeting.
Okay. Be fine.
Thank you. That's all I got.
IT guys, anybody out there wanting to communicate?
Nope.
Anybody watching? Are there a few watching? Oh, good, good. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Anybody around? Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
I just had one thought about the sign. One of the things that came up when we did all this new flooring, we fixed all the tape off the ceiling here, and we discontinued allowing this to really function as a community center as it used to be. I think in response to the community information that would be on the new sign, if we went with the general sign services recommendation, first of all, they're here, they're reliable, they'll take care of any issues that come up. But second of all, it will kind of compensate for what we're not doing as a community center in keeping people informed of what community events are and so on. And that's a communication that would be some kind of concession to the lack of services that are allowed in this building.
We, of course, COVID caused us to change what we were doing, but COVID's gone now, but this building was getting destroyed. Senior citizens, civic clubs come in, but people would rent it for a kid's birthday party and they would take it as a bouncy house. And we can't do that anymore.
But, some longtime people that were here were also affected by that.
Yeah, they were.
Just in the name of fairness, and I think that the sign offers an opportunity to at least communicate with the community where we're not providing physical service as a community center, so it's kind of in that line of service.
We can, and one of the things that's developed, you know more about it than I do, I'm sure, but the event room has offered some possibilities now for people that used to use this.
It's always at risk, because the event room isn't just run on its own merit, it's connected somehow to the other business that's in that building.
Okay.
I don't know what the deal was, but initially those were connected and one was relied on the other and restricted by the other.
Okay.
So that deal is not, they're not autonomous in what they're doing.
Delmonico has access to the area that they're using. And so
And
if
they're not
Delmonico
loyal
needs it.
to Watertown, period. So there's that.
They having some kind of songwriters event or something over there tonight?
Tonight, starts at 6.
Starts now?
Starts at 6.
6, okay. Yeah, I won't be there.
Songwriters and singers.
Okay. Anybody else?
That brings up a question. Did we ever get the bathroom remodeled to see?
We got people looking at it. Did we get it remodeled? No, we've had two people look at it. We hadn't gotten bids yet, have we? They've come in and look at it. We had made a little progress on that, not much, but some. Okay, anybody else? All right, I'll take my favorite motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Attaboy. Is there a
I
second?
second that.
All right, everybody's for it, go home. Thanks to everybody for coming.